My buddy Adam called me one time and he's like, hey, I got something amazing. You got to come over to my house and see this. How can you argue with that? So I ran over to his house and he's grinning and he's holding up this thing that looks like a Nintendo cartridge, but it was gold. I don't make those out of gold. I mean, what are we doing? He's like, this is that Zelda game I was telling you about. Well, hell, pop it in. Let's see what happens. And so we put the thing in and there's this incredible music that fires up and graphics that are way better than anything we'd ever seen before at that point. And you enter your name and you hit start and the screen scrolls up. And there's this iconic music. And from the beginning, you're hooked. It feels epic and like an adventure. And you realize really quickly, I can go wherever I want. It's not like a side scroller where I have to go in this very predictable route and fight the exact same enemies in the exact same order. There is way more going on. This is more like real life. And I remember in that moment being overwhelmed with wonder and joy. And I know that sounds ridiculous if you've been raised around video games, or even if you don't really like video games, it probably sounds absurd. But to me, in my lifetime, that was groundbreaking. And the first thing you do on The Legend of Zelda, the original one, is you just go into that obvious cave that's right in front of you. You're like, well, maybe there's something good in there. And you go in there, and sure enough, there's some old dude in a robe. And I guess he's just been hanging out in there forever, waiting for somebody to come by. But whatever the case, he's like, hey, it's dangerous to go alone. Take this. And he gives you a sword that perfectly matches your outfit. And you just go out and you start fighting monsters and you wander wherever you're going to wander. And you're like, you know what? I'm really glad I have this sword, because if I didn't have it, I'd be completely ill-equipped for this gigantic open world quest that could take me anywhere. Here it comes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Likewise, in Matthew chapter 10, Jesus is sending his raw green disciples out into a big open world quest, and he's not sending them out unequipped. It's dangerous to go alone. Take this. So what does he give them? Well, let's just go through the list, shall we? Starting in Matthew 10 and verse 5. These 12 Jesus sent out with the following instructions. So those are the disciples. Don't go among the Gentiles or enter any town of the Samaritans. Go rather to the lost sheep of Israel. Okay, so you know where you're going with your quest. You're not going to wander off the boundaries of the map and get the warning to come back into the playable area. We're going to go and talk to these people right now. As you go, preach this message. The kingdom of heaven is near. Maybe we can liken that to the original wooden sword that they get right at the beginning. There, you're equipped with this, but there's more equipping, and there needed to be more equipping, because just like how that wooden sword isn't going to get you through all 9 dungeons and the final confrontation with Ganon in The Legend of Zelda, you're going to need other equipment, other gear, upgrades, etc. So there is also more equipping that happens here from Jesus to the disciples. He chases the message, the kingdom of heaven is near, with a bunch of stuff that they get to do that normal people don't get to do. Heal the sick, raise the dead, cleanse those who have leprosy, and drive out demons. Freely you've received, freely give. Now, if I'm one of the 12 at this point, I'm going to raise my hand, and then I'm going to make the little call on me sound that goes like this. Hey, over here, call me, Jesus. I have questions about the raising the dead part. Yes, Matthew, question. Hey, I don't really know how to raise people from the dead. I haven't ever cast out any demons. I saw some movies about it one time. My mom downloaded some videos about demon casting out, but I don't really know how that works. I don't know how to fix the sick. I'm not a doctor. I don't do any miracles or anything. How do you want me to do that? And there's really no explanation at all. It's just this general suggestion, like, no, it's going to work. Kind of like in Zelda when you get the wand or the fire candle. It's like you just point that in the right direction, it'll shoot, it'll do what it's supposed to do. So he equips them with this power that nobody has. I mean, I don't see anything in the text that even indicates that this is something that's going to go on and on and on. And certainly reality tells me that this stuff has not gone on and on and on and been repeatable ever since. It looks like this is a momentary deal to accomplish a momentary step in the larger process of this grand redemptive plan. So undoubtedly that was pretty exciting and also pretty intimidating for the team here. But I would add to that I think it was also very necessary. How many times have you and I talked about the social climate that these guys were going out into, that Jesus was arriving in? It was a cynical, jaded social climate. People have been lied to and conquered and mistreated and oppressed. And I have to imagine that people were sick of the whole, hey, it's the Messiah, check it out, I'm the Messiah routine. I'm guessing people were sick and tired of hearing the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Yeah, the last guy said that too, and there wasn't really any kingdom that happened, so I don't know how many more of you guys are going to try this thing out. I mean, think about how jaded and also adapted you become to scams. You see a phone number on a phone call that comes in for you, and there's no caller ID, and it's a local area code. It used to be like, oh, that's probably somebody who just isn't in my phone. But now you're like, no, they're selling me a car warranty I don't want. Or they're saying open enrollment has now begun and trying to get you to sign up for some dumb healthcare thing. Or they're posing as an IRS agent and threatening to send you to jail. Or if you try to sell a car on Craigslist and you get a message that says something like, hey, my name's Kelly. My husband and I are looking for a vehicle. And then she goes on to ask a bunch of specific questions and seems friendly and talks about things that are local and geographical. You're like, oh, Kelly's probably a human. Maybe we could do business. But if it's got a bunch of typos and it's something like, do you still have Ford Explorer? Is in good condition? Send me background report and we make deal. You're like, yeah, no, because I've been lied to a lot and I know how scams look. People knew what the kingdom scam looked like. But even though I know what it looks like to be lied to by 10 people who don't actually want to buy my used vehicle on Craigslist, I do still hold out hope that there might be one real person who actually wants to exchange a few bucks for my old vehicle. Likewise here. That audience, no matter how jaded they were, was still holding out hope that there would be an actual kingdom, that there would be an actual king. I mean, think about the promises that are rattling around in their head about the blind seeing and the lame walking and the mute speaking. Did I get all of those right? I don't even know if I connected all of those properly. But everything is broken and wrong being fixed, this good governance, this good king. There was something to be excited about there. And so even though they'd been burned, they might listen if there were some signs or some evidence that the stuff that is supposed to come along with the advent of the kingdom would actually be there. So rather than Jesus saying, yeah, go and scatter all about this open world and do this quest and just tell them that I'm here and I did cool stuff and be like, no, we really mean it this time. I know other people said it, but this time it's really true. Instead, just do it yourself. I'm going to give you that capacity. It's going to be weird. You might not know exactly how this is going to work, but it's going to work. So just go get them. And when you do this stuff in front of people, it's going to be pretty stinking compelling. And then you get this line, freely you've received, freely give. That is perfectly in keeping with the values of the kingdom, where Jesus is like, hey, if you've received forgiveness, you got to give that forgiveness away. If you've received mercy or grace, you got to give that mercy and that grace away. If you've received compassion or care or truth, you got to give those things away. The kingdom is not about getting stuff and hoarding it and being a taker. The kingdom is about being restored to a position of sonship, of daughtership, of agency, and becoming an ambassador of the good and beautiful redemptive thing that changed you as you go and give it away to others. In this case, it doesn't just apply to these spiritual principles. Jesus even applies it to this momentary empowering with the ability to do stuff that maybe doesn't compute for you or me. Don't take any gold or silver or copper in your belts. Verse 10, take no bag for the journey or extra tunic or sandals or a staff, for the worker is worth his keep. We'll get into exactly what Jesus seems to expect with that a little bit more in a minute. But basically the rundown is, don't load up your inventory so full that you can't move at a quick speed like in Skyrim when you have too much stuff. Be nimble. We're going to travel light this time. This isn't your ultimate commissioning, and that becomes clear in the coming verses as we get into verses 16, 17. Rather, this is an important but temporary quest, and we're going to stay quick and nimble and fluid. We're not going to take stuff to defend ourselves because we're going out into roughly our own geographic region, neighborhood, community. People should recognize you, and when they see the incredible kingdom things that happen, they should at least give you enough to get by. So you don't even really need money on this particular trip because you're going to the home team, and Jesus' expectation is some people are going to recognize the kingdom for what it is, at least at a great enough rate for you to get by while you guys are out on your first big open world quest. So at the very least, it would be ineffective to go out ill-equipped and just wander around saying vaguely Jesus-like things. At the very most, it would be dangerous to go alone. So take this. The disciples go out equipped, and as we read through the rest of Matthew chapter 10, you get the impression that this equipping is going to transcend this initial open world journey, and that maybe there's a degree of equipping that is being hinted at for the future, and people who are going to believe what they hear and then believe the people who believe that and believe the people who believe that on into perpetuity with other kingdom citizens who come along down the line and jump in with similar tasks and similar open world quests later on. There's a couple of fun little questions baked in here that we'll have time to look at tomorrow as we move forward into the next part of the text. And last thing here, real quick, I feel like I need to say thanks again to everybody who's supporting the program. You are why this happens. And I am very grateful to you because I love spending time doing this every day. And I like getting to know people and having this conversation with all of you on the internet. So high five to all of you for being here. Thank you so much to those of you who support the thing at patreon.com/the TMBH podcast. I'm Matt. This is the 10 Minute Bible Hour podcast. Let's do it again soon.